Moving on now, prosecutors at the International Criminal Court have asked judges to bar former Côte d'Ivoire President Laurent Gbagbo from returning home. This request comes a days after he was acquitted on all charges. In the filing ahead of a hearing at which judges are expected to discuss the terms of his release, prosecutors said that if they appealed the acquittal, Côte d'Ivoire might not ensure or be able to compel Mr. Gbagbo's return to The Hague. Meanwhile, back home, citizens are tense and divided about the possible return of the former president.
His return is not about resentment. It's the opposite. Gbagbo is coming back to reconcile and tell people that what happened has happened and we can move forward. He's coming for peace and not for resentment.
No one is saying anything about us and what will happen to us, the victims. Take two. No one is saying anything about us and what will happen to us, the victims. And now they're freeing Gbagbo. It means that those, take two, it means those who died in vain. Côte d'Ivoire does not respect us. The ICC can't decide freeing him without asking us, the citizens, first.
Zimbabwe, scores of civilians have been arrested to face public order charges as authorities move to clamp down on dissent in response to protests against fuel price hikes. Among those arrested is a prominent political activist and actor. According to Pastor Ivan Mawarire's lawyers, he has been charged with inciting public violence. The Harare pastor, who rose to prominence as a critic of former leader Robert Mugabe, was bundled into the backseat of a truck by about a dozen armed policemen. Wednesday is the third and final day of stay-at-home protests called by unions in response to the steep hike in fuel prices, which was announced by President Emmerson Mnangagwa.
They are alleging that he has incited violence through Twitter and other forms of social media, particularly in the Central Business District. We've asked for full particulars, when, how. They say they don't know. They'll give that to him at the police station. We've asked how asking for people to stay away can constitute incitement to violence. But of course, this is a new dispensation, guys.
Hundreds of protesters turned out to demonstrate against President Omar al-Bashir's rule in a densely populated neighborhood of the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. The protesters in the working-class area of Kalakla chanted slogans before security forces fired tear gas and chased demonstrators down side streets. Near-daily demonstrations triggered by a worsening economic crisis have spread across Sudan since December 19. Activists say at least 40 people have been killed. However, President Bashir insists he will not step down, saying Sudan's economic problems will not be resolved by vandalism. As the world prepares for the year's largest global gathering, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa believes that his country will be going to World Economic Forum annual meeting in Switzerland on a firm footing, despite the challenges the country is currently facing. President Ramaphosa, who will be leading the South African delegation, was addressing the business community at a breakfast meeting where WEF deliberations were set out and presenting the nation as an investment destination. Our business correspondent, Natasha Piri, now reports.
From South Africa's perspective, President Cyril Ramaphosa's #1 priority is implementing reforms to address challenges in the business environment, mainly focusing on policy certainty to attract and maintain investment.
We should also be able to articulate a message that is coherent on, say, land reform. Now, if you go through the manifesto of the governing party, you will see that the issue of land reform is clearly and well articulated.
This year's international gathering falls under the theme Globalization 4.0, shaping a global architecture in the age of the fourth industrial revolution, something that Africans are slowly catching up with.
Africa as a continent, you know, that whole industrial revolution has sort of said, how do you go into fourth when one or two haven't even happened? And then now when you go into the sustainable economy part, it's almost as if there's just, we are so much behind. But having said that, I think there are pockets in Africa, on the continent, with South Africa being one of them, that show that indeed we can.
Speaking on the sidelines of the breakfast meeting, South African Minister Tito Mboweni lauded the Zimbabweans for wanting to introduce a new currency. He gave some detail on a meeting that took place between him and his Zimbabwean counterpart.
The idea of introducing a currency in Zimbabwe is a good one. Every country needs a currency. So I think our colleagues there are on a good wicket in that space. We had a very good conversation about the status of the Zimbabwean economy, the finance and banking system, the attempts that are being made by our Zimbabwean counterparts to reignite the economic health of Zimbabwe, and reaffirmed our mutual commitment to work together to improve the situation in Zimbabwe.
All roads will lead to the largest global gathering of CEOs and heads of state in the world, the World Economic Forum's annual meeting that will take place from the 22nd to the 25th of January in Davos, Switzerland. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Natasha Piri, Channels Television News.
Still to come on the program. A Congolese Ebola survivor gives birth to a healthy baby in a rare case surprising to doctors. Please stay with us.